How is the campaign going?
It's going very, very well. We received, everywhere we go with lots of enthusiasm. People don't seem to even know I've got an opponent when I go to an event, especially if he's not there, which is a lot of the times. We're real busy. We got lots going on. Got a lot going on here in Texas. A lot going on in Washington D.C. We're getting our message out. I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, what is your message to the agriculture community and to Texans writ large as to why they should keep you in this role?
Well, I'm obviously the most qualified. I'm the only one with an agriculture background, eighth generation farmers and ranchers. My opponent has zero generations. I still make my living off the land. He never has. I have an agriculture education. I was an ag teacher. He has no formal agriculture training or background. I was FFA advisor. My opponent was never even in FFA. He says FFA doesn't teach anything about agriculture. So I think there's some real stark differences in us.
Yeah, and I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the groundbreaking news from this campaign a week ago, which was the governor endorsing your opponent. What were your thoughts on that?
Oh, I wasn't surprised. The governors recruited this opponent, my two previous opponents. The governor just doesn't like me. It's because I hold him accountable. I'll stand up and challenge him when he's wrong. I think what set him off. I think they were going to do this a little later, but I was at a forum and I told people that I've been trying to get the governor to a farm for 11 years. He's never been on one. I think that upset him a little bit.
Yeah. Speaking of which, he went on the radio this morning and talked a little bit more about that. I just wanted to see if you wanted to respond to some quotes. He said, quote, Sid Miller has never felt an obligation to tell the truth. Of course, I've been on a farm. Sid Miller said he could never get me on a farm. For one, he never asked me to go on one. Do you want to respond to that, to those statements from the governor?
Well, I'm glad to hear that he's been on a farm. I did not know that. I've been reaching out to him. The Farm Bureau's been reaching out to him. So that's good. He needs the second largest industry in the state. So I'm glad to hear that he's been on the farm. One of the reasons I haven't reached out to him is he won't return my call, won't take a meeting. I haven't had a meeting with him in 11 years that he's been in office. So, I've reached out, but haven't had a response. I'll try again. I won't give up. I would hope that the governor could get along, with me. I certainly don't hold any grudges against the governor. If he's wrong, I'll tell him about it, and we'll go from there. Good, healthy discourse is good for our state.
Yeah, and just one last thing the governor said this morning, because he did talk about you a lot, was he said that it's nothing directly personal other than the fact that your tenure has been a disaster for running the agency. Do you want to respond to that comment?
Well, I totally disagree, and I've got the facts to back it up. We just went through Sunset Commission, and that's pretty involved process. It's kind of like bank auditors, coming through. They do fine tooth comb, look at your agency. In our exit interview, the Sunset Commission, which he appoints people to the Sunset Commission, by the way, said the Texas Department of all the decades that they'd been reviewing state agencies, the Texas Department of Agriculture is the best run state agency they had ever reviewed. So that's not my word. You can take the Sunset Commission saying we're the best run agency in state government. So we've made a lot of reforms. We've got the agency back in the black. I was $18 million in the red when I took over. I launched Operation Maverick, found 7,000 businesses operating on illegal scales. We got that fixed. Gas pumps were getting inspected every 12 years. I got that fixed. We get them every 12 months now. And the list goes on and on and on.
And speaking of your opponent, Mr. Sheets, I know he started out as a supporter of yours initially. How has it been like as this race has evolved from him, at least from his own recollection, initially being one of your supporters to deciding that he needs to challenge you and now having this contested primary?
Well, he sold his honey business. He's a honey distributor, bottles and sells honey, and he sold that, and he's just searching for the next journey in life, I guess. He came to me back early last spring and said, asked me what my plans were. I said, well, probably run for re-election, but there's a chance that I may be appointed USDA secretary. I was in the mix then. And if I do that, I'll have to resign. He said, well, I'd like to run for ag commissioner. I said, well, if I don't run, you should run. I tell everybody that wants to run. I don't discourage anybody from running. I've probably told that to a dozen people, but I think he misunderstood me. Decided to run against me. So here we are.
And one of his biggest contentions with your tenure has been the hiring of Chief of Staff Todd Smith. Do you want to respond to any of his contentions on that?
Well, yes, the best hire I ever made. That man is amazing. He's been with me 26 years. He was prosecuted by George Soros, DA there in Travis County. Same DA office that went after Rick Perry, Tom DeLay, Kay Bailey Hutchinson. They went after me twice. Of course, we've all proved our innocence. Todd, they pretty much bankrupt Todd, and he was facing, bankruptcy. He had, $400,000 lawyer bill. They gave him a sweet deal. I told him to take it because they at the same time this Trump was going through all of, he got falsely convicted of 94 felonies. So Todd was going to face a George Soros DA, George Soros judge, and a Democrat jury in Travis County. I told him to take the deal, don't risk it, and he did. And in about 3 months, it'll all be wiped off his record. He got deferred adjudication. He had to pay a small fine, do a little community service. And then there'll be, he will not even have a blemish on his record in about 3 months.
And now shifting over to some policy issues directly relating to the agriculture department, I wanted to talk to you. One of the advisors for the president, Peter Navarro, earlier today, he posted on X that the federal government is taking on the big beef cartel. Obviously, it's something on the top of everyone's mind, rising beef prices in particular. What are some of the things that you guys are doing at the agriculture level to try to cut back on some of these beef prices?
Well, the 4 big packers is what he's talking about. The 2 of them are foreign owned. I actually sent a message to Donald Trump and to our Attorney General that I'm requesting that they, investigate the big 4 packers for collusion, price fixing. Within 3 hours, Trump announced that they were launching the investigation. So it's good that I have the ear of the president, Peter Navarro. I was in his office about 2 weeks ago. We talked about this very subject. I disagreed with the president on buying Argentine beef. That compounds our problem of agriculture trade deficit. So I did make some positive suggestions. So I said, if you want to lower the price of beef, we need to increase the cattle herd. That's the problem, low numbers. So I said, why don't you open up the grazing lands that Biden kicked everybody off of when he was trying to, deal with cow flatulence. We lost all of our federal grazing leases. There's 24 million acres idle. So immediately Secretary Burgum opened up 5 million acres for ranchers to put cattle on. So that's helped. I suggested a heifer retention tax credit, much like a child tax credit. They haven't done that yet. And then we talked about opening up the border to 1,200,000 head of Mexican cattle that normally would be up here. But because of the screwworm, we've closed that border. We need to find a way to get those cattle up here and, get consumers some relief. Consumers haven't quit eating beef yet, but we're right there to the tipping point where they're going to start looking for other sources of protein.
And speaking of the weather right now, you are currently outside braving the sub-freezing temperatures for us here. Talk to me a little bit about how a storm like this last one impacts Texas agriculture.
Well, we're coming through it pretty good. Of course, we get hay out. That's roughage. That's what keeps livestock warm. Cattle, horses, sheep, goats. That's what we do. Cattle out in the pasture, we can bust water on the ponds with the front end loader. The problem is the confined livestock. When the pipes freeze up or the well goes down, then we have to haul water. So that's a concern. Big concern is the Rio Grande Valley, where we grow our citrus. Now, we saw this coming. We were in the middle of a citrus harvest. They got 99.9% of that harvested, so we're good. We're not going to lose any fruit. Just hope we don't lose any trees. Now, we got most of our winter vegetables harvested. Onions are planted. I think they'll be fine. They're very cold hardy. So I think we're going to come through this pretty well. The good news is, Texas hadn't had a good rain since around the 1st of December, almost 60 days, no rain. So this ice, even though it is cold and miserable, the snow, it's welcome to give us some moisture for spring planting.
I wanted to ask you quickly about your thoughts on the Texas ban on lab-grown meat and the lawsuit filed to challenge that.
Well, it's kind of, fruitless or futile really for them to file that lawsuit. People have given up on that lab grown meat. No one's eating it. They'd be lucky to get 10 cents on the dollar back of what they've invested. So they challenge they lawsuit. We ask them to throw it out. Judge says, no, we're going to go forward. So they haven't won the lawsuit. They just get to keep, spending money on something that's not going to go anywhere. Bill Gates and his cronies just need to pack up and go back to California. Texas is not eating that petri dish meat. It's T-bones and pork chops for us. We like the real thing, not Frankenstein meat. It's not going to happen.
And then I'd be remiss to talk to you without talking about the Texas ag topic of the last year, the New World Screwworm. What are the latest updates on that?
Well, we've had it bottled up for a year in southern Mexico. We've been dumping 100 million sterile flies every week. We did not keep it in check. We didn't push it back into Central America. They have now advanced northward 900 miles within 197 miles of the Texas border. These are swarms of screwworm flies in the dead of winter, which we're not supposed to have. So it's very, very concerning. Apparently the sterile flies are just not working. Well, we started using those in 1930, and we didn't eradicate the screwworm fly until 1975, and we did that with a fly bait. So hopefully we can manufacture that fly bait again and get this pest arrested and decapitated and eradicated.
Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me today. Is there anything else you want to talk about, campaign or ag-related otherwise? Last word's yours.
We've got mystery seeds out there coming in from China, so be cautious with those. Call us, let us pick those up. 1-800-TEL-TDA. A lot of people locked in their homes get depressed, especially on these lonely farms and ranches. So if you're having some kind of mental problem, mental anguish, thinking thoughts that you shouldn't, call our agri-stress helpline. Let us help you. I've got people there 24/7. They're trained to help rural folks, people in agriculture. We know where we can get you the help that you need. So call us. We'll take care of you. We're going to call you back every day until we know you're okay. 1-800-TEL-TDA. 1-800. No, excuse me. That's not correct. 1-833-897-2474. Or you can just put in your phone agri-stress helpline. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Miller. Appreciate it. Go get warm.
All righty. Thank you.